last week I interviewed Slink Johnson. He plays Jesus in the show Black Jesus.
Okay.
Have you seen the show?
I haven't.
You heard of it?
I haven't.
You've never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
It's a show on Adult Swim.
Okay.
It's executive produced by Aaron Magruder.
Okay.
Who was the creator of the Boondocks.
Right.
So in the show, you have Black Jesus, who's in Compton.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You know, who has his friends who are like some of them are gangsters and drug dealers and and so forth, and a lot of Christians are kind of up in arms over this because he smokes weed, he drinks, he's involved in some drug deals, he's involved in stealing some stuff, etc. To the point where certain advertisers actually pulled out of. From advertising on the show based on pressure. I actually, I took a picture, after we did the interview, me and Slink Johnson, who plays the role of Jesus, took a picture, and one guy said unfollowing, and I looked, and there was a bunch of Christian type stuff in his Instagram and stuff like that. So a lot of Christian people are upset about this.
Well. I can appreciate people being offended to an extent. I mean, I can. If you take someone who you love dearly or consider to be someone of high regard, and then, you start placing them in moments and situations that don't line up, then you go, okay, well, this is offensive. And then it's televised, so that gives it a little more fuel, which just adds to the number of people who are going to see it and then be offended even more. And it's just, you love someone, you respect someone. But at the same time, I two thoughts come to mind. One, the artistic license for them to be able to take something that's a cultural phenomenon, and someone as known, as Jesus, and then kind of take a spin on it. To me, it's just funny TV, in that regard. And I'm not offended by the dude who plays it, and I'm not going, they should cancel X, Y, and Z. But the other side of it for me is who he's playing is a caricature of who Christ is. That's not who Christ was. So for me, I don't get as offended as somebody might, because I know the difference. I know my Bible well enough to know there's a difference between who this guy is playing and who I genuinely believe in. Now, granted, let's say it took a turn and it started going more toward a religious aspect of, no, this is what it really is, then I feel like I had to have a moment to say something like, no, there's a line here, but at the end of the day, it's funny TV.
Would you watch it?
I think I'd check out a couple episodes. I'm not gonna lie. Anything, when you see certain actors in it, you go, okay, I just want to know what this is, because it's a comedy. So I just want to know what this is. When I saw my man, was it John Witherspoon?
Yeah.
When I saw him in it, I was like, okay,
Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy's in it. I was like, these funny dudes. Like, I want to see what they're about to do, because I don't even know who the main actor is.
But he's not a very known actor. This is his first major role.
Okay.
I interviewed him, and he said, well, if you really think about it, Jesus at the time didn't hang out with the rich people. He hung out, if you put him in today's society, he'd be with the gangsters and the poor, with the homeless, and those type of people.
And so that's why I say it's a type of what the Bible would say Jesus is, because that's true to me. That's part of it. He was around people that religious leaders said you shouldn't be hanging around. But then on the other side of it, if there was any sort of sin or corruption or anything like that, the scriptures say he didn't necessarily partake in that. So he might not have been, slanging in the hood, but he would have been next to somebody who was doing it to hopefully influence opposite of that. So I don't know.
What do you think of the name Black Jesus? Because what if it was just called Jesus?
Right. So if it was just called Jesus, I think that they would not have the ratings that they have. And and since it's called Black Jesus, then I kind of already know, just culturally how I grew up, this is going to be something different than what I believe in currently. And honestly, the name itself kind of gives you an idea of, I'm looking for a Sunday morning preacher / shaft type individual. That's what I thought I was about to see, like a militant brother who was about to step out on the scene and at the same time heal people. And you're like, oh, okay, Black Jesus. So I expected something similar.
Well, the depiction of Jesus generally in today's society is a white guy.
Yeah.
Right. But the reality is that in that region, of the Middle East, there just were no white people.
None.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's almost like saying white Robin Williams, I mean,
Yes.
or,
No, I agree.
or, Asian, Chinese Jackie Chan,
Yeah.
or, Asian Jackie Chan, where it's almost, because Jesus just could not have been white.
Right.
Does that bother you at all in terms of,
Well, so
and then when you see someone calling themselves Black Jesus,
yeah.
almost on a play of Jesus was probably kind of black, like, in one way or another.
Right. So for me, the accuracy of Jesus's ethnicity matters to an extent for me, but probably more so because of my upbringing here. Growing up, there was just this view of oppression that came from a certain people group. And then when you look to the God that you believe in and the picture painted for you is the same individual, there does grow this kind of conflict within you to go, okay, this doesn't make sense. And then to learn and become more educated and realize where he's from, there were no white people. This culturally could not have happened or did not exist. As a person who was young, who was figuring out directions of where I wanted to go, but growing up just in a Black culture, I'm like, okay, this feels a little better. This makes me think a little better about this. But then when I move beyond that point to even more understanding, honestly, I'm concerned for accuracy's sake. But I'm more concerned about what he accomplished than anything. So at the end of the day, that brother could have been Russian. I'm like, this is what you did for me. You lived, died, and resurrected, and then gave me a chance at real hope. So I'm like, look, whatever at the end of the day.